Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
David Benavidez is set to make his light heavyweight defense for a WBC title against Anthony Yarde. Let's talk about it.
Listen, man, I was recently watching an interview with Max Kellerman. A couple different of his co-hosts were all kind of discussing who they all felt the boogeyman in boxing is right now. Max Kellerman himself said that he believes it's David Benavidez. Why did he say David Benavidez? Well, obviously he's got this fight against Anthony Yarde going up. And he's looking phenomenal, looking great, been doing a lot of work. So that's one of the things. But he said, listen, man, who do you know is chasing Bivol and Beterbiev? These are guys that in the division, obviously, they've been going back and forth, holding the undisputed title. And David Benavidez is out here saying, hey, man, I get first dibs at whoever wins. I get first dibs. David Benavidez has even said that he'll go up to light heavyweight to fight... what's that motherfucker's name? I can't remember him, but I'll come back to it. Yeah, man, he's chasing all the big fights that he can chase. Zurdo Ramirez, that's who it was. Zurdo Ramirez, who has a light heavyweight championship. And listen, man, I think it's one of those competitions where because of these types of things, because of how good he's looked lately, of his last few fights against people that I would consider good tier competition, I think, unfortunately, for Anthony Yarde, I think Anthony Yarde is cooked. The combination punches, which are insane, obviously, of David Benavidez, that type of work is going to put Anthony Yarde down. While Anthony Yarde is a phenomenal talent, he has been knocked out 2 previous times, semi-recently. And because of that, unfortunately, Anthony Yarde is cooked. I think David Benavidez has it. Now, don't get me wrong. I say this every single time. Caveat. Something can always happen. A phenomenal just perfectly timed punch can change the game. But I think we've seen David Benavidez a total of 1 time on the canvas. Some people say it was a flash knockdown, so just, wrong footing, wrong time, just got caught. Ever since then, we've never seen him on the ground. So listen, it's going to be one of those scenarios where Anthony Yarde is going to have to pull out something that we haven't seen before. It's not to say that he can't win. To me personally, highly unlikely. I think the Mexican monster is going to take this, and I think that's going to cement him as the next guy that gets a shot at whoever has the undisputed title, either Beterbiev or Bivol. I think for Benavidez in particular, I think it'd be better for him if he got a fight up against Beterbiev, because even though Beterbiev is in fact a strong puncher, I think Beterbiev would engage him a little bit more than a Bivol. Bivol would probably do a little bit dancing around the ring. So I think Beterbiev would be a better fight for him, because then Benavidez can let go of those combination punches, which I do think would land on a Beterbiev. But as far as Anthony Yarde is concerned, he's got his work cut out for him. I personally see a David Benavidez victory. If I'm being honest, I'm going to call it somewhere in the 6th or 7th round. I believe that's when it's going to be called off. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a knockout, but I do think the combination work is going to slowly beat him down. And because of that, I think at some point the referee is going to see too much. I think at that point, the fight's going to be called out. Technical knockout. David Benavidez. What do you think about that, my man?
I think it is scary to consider that everybody is basically saying that David Benavidez already has this in a bag in a division that he hasn't really stepped that far in against somebody that's been supposedly comfortable at the light heavyweight division. And look, let's be completely honest about this. This isn't Anthony Yarde's first attempt at gold in the light heavyweight division, which makes this honestly a little bit more sad. It feels like we're blowing the man. But again, we have to be completely real about this. So Anthony Yarde went up against Arthur Beterbiev, believe it or not, for the WBC light heavyweight title before, and he came up short. He also went up against McArthur for the WBO Intercontinental light heavyweight title, and again, came up short the very first time, even before the Beterbiev fight. Now, to be fair, he did beat McArthur just recently, but McArthur didn't hold the title at that time. It was basically just for another fight, just to regain his W. But guess what? He did not have the titles at that time. So, believe it or not, this is actually Anthony Yarde's second crack at the WBC light heavyweight title. And again, it was sad that David Benavidez had to be gifted the title because, vacancies and all that, and he we're already tied up with the Bivol and Beterbiev scenario as it is. We're still waiting on the third fight, and we're still waiting on Bivol to be recovering from shoulder injury. So that fight's already being held up in limbo. So Dave Benavidez already has his first title against nobody. It was a vacated title, and he basically got awarded it in recess. And this is going to be Dave Benavidez's first title defense, and again, Anthony Yarde's second crack at the belt. But again, the fact that he came up short twice before, and Dave Benavidez is going to be his first defense here, and everybody's already calling the fight for Dave Benavidez. What caliber of fighter is Anthony Yarde, if we're going to be honest? If he already had the crack at light heavyweight title before and came up short, what is it to really say about his chances against Dave Benavidez, who looks like a monster at 168, and now looks to be even a more monster if he's chasing other monsters over here in the light heavyweight division? What chances does Anthony Yarde have in this fight? I do think you are right, is going to go by TKO. I do think it is fair that it's probably going to be in the middle round, 6th or 7th round, that I do think a TKO is going to happen. And unfortunately, as rough as we need to call it, Anthony Yarde is very much the epitome of cooked in this fight.
Yeah, listen, man, it's not to be disrespectful to Anthony Yarde again. He's a great fighter on his own. He's just not at the current level that Dave Benavidez is at. Dave Benavidez has been dominating all this fight, and again, some of those against very, very top tier talent, man. So I personally, that's what my pick is. I'm calling it. I'm stamping it. That's where I think the fight's gonna end. I'm hoping that Bivol gets together, man. That way, him and Beterbiev can have the rematch, and then whoever wins, Dave Benavidez deserves whoever wins that undisputed belt. After that, I don't want to see no more Beterbiev. They've each had 1-1. Let's get this final one out of the way, and then whoever comes out 2-1, that's the dude that David Benavidez should face. David Benavidez has been getting the shit end of the stick for a long time when it came to Canelo Alvarez. Now when it comes to Bivol and Beterbiev. And I apologize. I meant to say cruiserweight. He wants to fight Zurdo Ramirez at cruiserweight. That's what I meant to say. So I think at that point, once Dave Benavidez conquers this particular region, hey, maybe he goes up to cruiserweight and fights Zurdo Ramirez. He's been saying that he wants to fight Ramirez himself. So listen, maybe that's on the horizon as well. But listen, we'll keep it tuned again. This is a little bit of a short video just because there's not a whole lot to say here, man. We do believe Dave Benavidez is going to steamroll Anthony Yarde. All due respect to Anthony Yarde, but again, he's been not looking great as far as his last 5. I believe it's his last 5 fights. Yes, recent victory and all that, blah blah blah. But I mean, still, it's just not been a great record of opponents, even if we're being honest. So we'll see how it goes, man. But again, that's our pick. That's what we're sticking with. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.